we have tried to develop our understanding of how yoga is useful to the body. And along with that, how yoga is useful to the mind. And in that, we also have realized that mind and body are connected. It is incorrect actually to think of body and mind as separate entities. One thing is interrelated with the other. And most of the things that we suffer from as modern human beings, you can trace back the origin of our disease and discomfort to the mental challenges that we face. This part is quite true. And our mental challenges sometimes push us towards lifestyle related issues. So, our stress pushing us to sleepless nights or disturbed sleep. And once your sleep gets disturbed, everything else which can be part of metabolic disorder follows. One element which is disturbing, which does not make us feel safe in the mind, triggers our fight or flight mode in the mind. That can have a cascading impact on how we perceive our strength, how our immunity functions, and what all challenges we encounter in the body. This is a key understanding that I want you to have, that body and mind should not be treated as separate systems. For those who practice yoga or those who are into physical exercise, this becomes even more important. Now, when we are tired, like we had an exhausting day and we feel that our body needs rest, we are inclined to say skip a yoga class or skip the physical workout because we have had a very long, physically challenging day. What happens if we had a mentally challenging day and we have not had time to recover from the mental challenges that we have had? So, do I make enough room for my mental challenges to play out in my mind and then recover from it and then pick up the threads to do anything laborious, anything exhausting, even physically? This is a consideration to have, that mental challenges or mentally exhausting days should be treated at par with physically exhausting days, from the point of view of whether we should push hard during a class or whether we should take lightly during a class, or whether we should do a physical session or we should skip a session. Both mental and physical challenges should be taken into account. This does not mean that we become lazy. This is a judgment call that we must take as practitioners, that whether we should be pushing hard today or taking it easy. Which brings me to another takeaway, that if body and mind are connected systems and we must place physical exhaustion and mental exhaustion at the same level, especially when we consider physical exercises, the next point is that we must make sure that the line between laziness and recovery is not blurred. We could transgress one into other. So we should not be lazy, but we should always be careful vis-a-vis how we exercise and how we pursue the physical training aspect of our life. Right. These are two things we should keep in mind. Any thoughts on this?
Hello, sir.
Yes.
I have a question. How I can identify my laziness and relaxation? What is the subtle difference?
See, the practicality of it is like how I would pursue, because not always are you sharp in the mind. Yeah. It is very difficult to bring a distinction between whether I am relaxing or whether I am truly recovering or I am being just a little bit lazy or indulging myself. So the thumb rule is that if I am practicing, I'll start practicing at a very gentle pace and allow my body to give me signals whether it is okay to practice with more effort. If that signal does not come, I am on the mat I'm taking it easy on the mat, and I continue doing so throughout the session. I have been true to myself that I have shown up for the class. Plus, I have not pushed myself hard enough. I'm recovering even from the previous session and the previous day. And plus, I put on extra load. So, a light beginning to all my sessions is a very good way to judge yourself whether you are ready for a strenuous session or whether you should not pushing hard in the session. If your body is absolutely not ready for the class, or for a physical exercise, it will send you signals for sure. But if it is
Absolutely.
halfway there, you engage very gently and then move ahead. Like some of the days when I wake up early morning, say I've woken up at 4:30 or 5 o'clock, and I'm yet to understand how well my body is responding. And I have a session coming up, like a 6 o'clock or a 7 o'clock, which I will be teaching. So the days I'm not sure how well I'm rested, I wake up and I go out for a walk. So that helps me to tune myself with how my body is performing. Walking is the lightest thing I can do. So I go out for a walk, allow myself to be a good judge of how the body is moving, and then get ready for the class. This is from a practical experience, and this is what I apply in my life to judge whether I am ready for a strenuous day or I am not yet ready for the strenuous.
Thank you for the guidance.
Thoughts. Now, I don't know if you were there in the last session, but this is something that I want to bring up very briefly, that exercise does impact my cardiovascular health. So, how the blood flows through my body is positively impacted by the current amount of exercise I do. I have circulation going on, blood, and heart is my main pump that, that makes sure that blood is flowing through the body. There is a lymphatic system which does not have a pump. The task of the lymphatic system is to collect waste, pathogens, toxins, dead cells, chemical residue because of the nervous system being constantly engaged. So there are different kinds of residues that body wants to throw away. Those residues are collected by that lymphatic system and is pushed to your liver, kidney, lungs, etc., so that it can be pushed out of the body by those organs. The lymphatic system depends totally upon our movement. If I move, if I twist, if I compress my muscles, the lymphatic system extracts kinetic energy through the movement. It has no pump of its own like the heart. If I'm leading a sedentary life and if I find myself mm, prone to allergies, cough and cold, immunity related disorders, then you know that my lymphatic system, which was supposed to collect and clear out waste, is not performing well. Residual waste is causing inflammation in the body, which in turn is causing my immunity to drop, and that shows in me having frequent bouts of cough, allergies. So, this chain of thought should be vibrant in my mind when I see others around me, my friends and family members, who are continuously falling sick. One of the reasons could be that they are not moving enough. In the lymphatic system, twisting is a very powerful way to activate the lymphatic system. So my revolving triangle pose, Ardha Matsya, and so many different ways I produce a torque in the body where two opposing forces are being created in the body. That kind of twist is very good for my lymphatic system to perform optimally. And in case you are also doing inverted poses, those inversions also help my lymphatic system quite a bit. So these are two movements that help my lymphatic system, which has an impact on immunity. So this relation, this idea that I am exercising only for my heart health can be expanded, and we can always remember that my waste clearing mechanism is also dependent upon my movement. It is more dependent on my movement compared to my circulation, which has an internal pump, while the lymphatic system does not have a pump. Uh, Thoughts and comments on this, please?
This twisting exercise, I was not aware that it has a great impact on lymphatic system. I was not aware that it is a movement that is important for our body. Because
Yes,
otherwise, yoga and exercise, I was knowing it keeps body fit and everything. But this is a
yes,
new concept. In last class also you have given us in detail. So it is a
yes.
very important thing. Whenever I feel I don't want to do, now it's come to my mind that my lymphatic movements means system will not go that way if I don't move. So that's a
Absolutely
good
correct.
thing. That
And that is exactly what we are trying to do, expand our understanding of physical exercise. So beyond what does staying fit means, that if I understand my actions, then I will be more inclined to engage with them. Instead of exercise just being an activity to lose weight or to look good, or just having an unarticulated idea of what fitness means, it is good to expand on the understanding of what fitness is, and then you can work with it. So that's
absolutely.
about your lymphatic system and how your movement is essential to build immunity. So this correlation is absolutely clear. Now, another thing that we discussed last time, immunity is also dependent upon stress. If I am going through extreme emotions, if I'm going through anxiety or stress, you will notice that your immunity drops because of the circumstances that you are being exposed to. So if you see, whenever there is death of a near and dear one, like somebody close passes away, and people brave out that situation, like they control their emotions, they don't want to cry or they don't want to express their grief openly, especially the ones who are involved in taking care of the family and those who are doing multiple things at the same time grieving. They find very little avenues to express their grief in a proper manner. Now they hold on to their grief, and that incident has definitely mattered to them. Now they are going about whatever they need to do for the 14 days, then they finish off with all their obligations, and then the family has receded. And the person who has taken the main brunt of the near and dear one leaving is there with himself or herself. That's the time she or he exposes themselves to injuries or health related issues. It could be sickness, allergies, random injury, back pain, etc. So this is your pent up emotions which you are trying to manage somehow. They will need an expression, and if they don't get an expression in outward show of emotion, then they will come out through pain. So we must understand that unprocessed emotions have an impact on immunity, lead to pain which cannot be diagnosed through an MRI. Thoughts and questions again?
So may I?
Yes, please go ahead.
Yeah, in my home, when my father in law passed away, my mother in law was not able to express her emotional, means she was not able to cry. But after few months, she was fall down. She
Yeah,
broken her hip. So
yeah,
this resonated, and that's why I thought to share it. It happens.
yes.
Means there's
I've
no
seen,
clue that why it has happened. So
yes.
I was not knowing this. Thank you.
It is a pattern that I see where this is repeating. Like whenever this is something that I don't have any data to prove it, but this is through observance. You raised your hand.
Oh, yes, sir.
Yeah.
So basically, one of the things I'm very grateful for in Mystic also, a discovery that I made about my mother and myself was about this cough. We used to have this dry, very dry cough. Like I would keep drinking water in class. Like I cannot take an hour's class without having a water bottle. My mother has this cough. I've taken her to many doctors over the years to understand if it's a lung problem because my father used to smoke a lot. We realized that it is nothing to do with bronchitis. There's no diagnosis. For the longest time, we were sad. And then in the last 2 years, I have finally been able to talk for a long period of time in class without needing water. And I realized it was not like I was thirsty. I was very stressed from whatever I was managing in life. And I could never do back bends. I could never do halasans and sarvangasana because the moment my head went backwards or forwards, there was something gripping my throat, and I really needed something to dry my throat. And now, at least, I think I'm not imagining it. I have actually improved. So I'm very grateful that before we have had this class to talk about, I have
Yes.
physically felt the improvement otherwise. And you were speaking about immunity. If you remember, I was always complaining about being sick previously. I still do, but it has the frequency. It is so real that I am improving. And I've gone to millions of doctors for various other symptoms, but I realize it is probably now you've given me language to express it. So probably it was my lymphatic system's problem. And my mother has also improved. So I just shared it with everybody. It's very intimate, but I thought it is very useful to share it for
Yes.
everyone. Thank you.
Yes. I understand the value of, okay, what happens? There are things that are easy to diagnose, and our medical system is trained to look at problems at certain areas. Our tests are designed in a way that we look at problems, many of them you catch because of the tests you do. But more and more, you find that there is a chronic pain or there is something lingering with your body, which is not getting cured, and you don't have an answer for it. This brings me to the point that we must explore our own health more and more. Like, yeah, doctors have learned a lot, like they have studied, their masters of their craft. And nutritionists have done their bit to understand food and diet and everything, but it is our responsibility to engage with our body, to understand it, to read, to apply, to experiment, because my body is mine alone, and my daily routine, my stresses, in my working environment, my family situation, my eating habits, specifically of this current phase of my life, everything is so different that no doctor can help me if I don't take the onus of understanding my body. If I understand better, then I can reach out and seek help. Most of the time, we are a little laid back in explaining what ails us. We just go and tell them that this is what is wrong with me, and without getting into the contextual information that could be helpful for the person who is treating you. That's why Ayurveda always dependent upon inquiry. If you go to an Ayurvedic practitioner, they will keep asking you questions to understand your mental, physical state. And when they are reasonably satisfied, they'll give you a solution. That's something that we can learn from. We should be confident to say that I understand my body. I may not be doing what is required to keep the body 100% fit. Nobody can do that. That's a utopian idea because life is happening. But to understand our own physical, mental patterns is our responsibility. Effect of suppressed anger. Suppressed anger is also an emotion. This is from Junilalji. So suppressed anger is also an expression of heightened emotions. Anger, like, the interesting thing about anger is, say you get angry someone for whatever reason. So the hormonal release and the chemical restructuring that happens in the body, one of the studies shows that it spikes in the first 2 minutes and then it dies down. But because as human beings, we have trained ourselves not to let go, we keep visualizing and revisiting the reason for which I was angry. And that again releases similar sets of hormones and similar set of chemical restructuring happens in my body every time I visit and revisit in my mind what angered me. It is important for me to understand how to let go of things. If the relevance has gone down, I should be ready to let go of the anger. There is very little that I can gain by justifying my anger or by holding my anger. Anger is to protect yourself. If you look at evolutionary reason for anger, it will be to protect yourself. That fight or flight mode comes into play. And once that is into play, your stress hormones are into play. Yes, Rita. Yes.
Are there any specific pranayam that help in overcoming these factors, stress, and helping in improving immunity?
Okay. Now, if we are going, we could take multiple routes to improve our immunity. And if it is stress related immunity, like because of stress, my immunity has gone down, then physical movement is a great antidote for it. However, if I am looking at pranayam, I have to go in for this alternate route where you are engaging in pranayam, say 3-part breathing. Any pranayam you can take up. 3-part breathing, box breathing, 3-5-7 breathing, any pattern you create, or you go into Anulom Vilom, or you go into, say, your pranayam, any pranayam that you take will be helpful other than something like Kapalbhati, where you have a very short breath and a very forceful exhalation. Any pranayam that has a rhythm to it will help you calm down. Along with regulating your breath, you must supplement it by observing your breath. Regulated breath and then observation of breath. This completes the cycle of relaxation. Sometimes we make the mistake of just doing the pranayam and getting out of it. So pranayam brings you to a point where you can become steady and focus. That should not be lost.
Regulating breath
And observing breath. You are becoming aware of your breath, but you are not controlling it. So remember, we were talking about awareness training.
Right.
If we have imbalance in the body, we should know that there is imbalance in the body. If one side is stronger or one side, that should be understood. So that is part of my awareness training. Now, awareness training can be utilized in all aspects of life. Awareness training can be utilized to understand physical imbalances. Awareness training can be applied to understand emotional imbalances. Awareness training can be applied to understand the imbalance between my desire and my action. So there are many ways I could utilize awareness training, and observing the breath is part of awareness training. So, like, I take up one more. Yes, Monalisa, tell me.
So just a confirmation. So this awareness training, is it like what we learned about Sakshi Bhava or something like that?
No. Okay. Shibhav will be the highest form of awareness, right? But then that is philosophy. Here we are talking about day-to-day awareness. For example, I'll give you a mundane example. Say, there are people who want to go on a diet. They are well intentioned that they are getting on with a diet. They will have their lunch, like breakfast, lunch, dinner, as suggested by the dietitian. So they, in their mind, they are committing to the diet and they are following the diet. However, they are also used to having a snack every once in a while, or they start their day with a biscuit and a tea, So there are small things, mistakes that they do unknowingly, which offsets the benefits of the practice or the diet that they are into. Now, in many cases, they are not even aware that they are doing that mistake. So awareness training, where I start observing my breath and how it is flowing, also will help me to become aware of my own mistakes, where I'm committed to do something. I'm taking all the effort, but yet missing out on where I'm going wrong. So that is part of awareness training. Doing yoga, for example, most of us stand in the mat and we are committed to the practice. But then most of us, when we start our journey, are concerned with how difficult or easy it is. We do not graduate very quickly to the idea of how I'm utilizing the muscle, which muscle to utilize, which muscle to let go, if I'm symmetrical or I'm not, I'm aligned. So these are things that you could do while spending time and taking that much effort. But my attention is only stuck in the idea whether the pose is difficult or easy. So to move away and to utilize my attention that is available to me, because I am giving time, I am doing the thing, it's just that the attention is not there where it should be. It's only stuck. In moments of stress, we get exasperated and say that everything is wrong. But attention training will help you understand that of the 10 things, only 2 need your attention, which are not going in the right direction. So 8 things in your life are going in the positive directions. 2 need correction, of which only 1 is in the severe condition. So this is attention training to handle stress, where you can isolate what is giving you trouble. Now, if you come to pain management, then when you get into pain management, say your shoulder is hurt for whatever reason. Now, you can isolate your shoulder and the pain associated with the shoulder. You will see many sports persons, they are good at isolating pain. They will have a toe which is broken. So their idea is that, all right, my toe is broken, but rest of the body is fine, and hence I can play. So isolating a pain and problem area is part of awareness training. Coming back to Mona Lisa, Sakshi Bhav is very different from this.
Thank you, sir. Yes,
Yeah. Questions, comments? Please feel free to interject me whenever you feel like.
Sorry to interrupt. So,
No.
sir, this isolating pain, it's a very difficult thing because sometimes we get hurt and we have to do the regular household work. So
Yes.
the pain always go to that side and it feels
Yeah.
drain out.
I totally agree with you. But this is where, because see, for example, say you are 50 years old. Okay. If you're 50 years old and you start training with this attitude that I'm practicing yoga postures, I'm doing pranayam, and I'm doing meditation with the idea that I will train my attention. All right. And you do that 20 minutes a day for 5 years. When you are now in your later half of your 50s, you have trained your attention because of practicing 20 minutes a day, more than 500 hours. In 5 years, you have trained yourself for 500 hours by doing just 20 minutes a day. Now, this 500 hours is what you utilize. So attention, but the dividend of attention training is massive. And 5 years is a very big time. If you do it for 1 year, you have done 100 hours of practice in attention training. So your idea of what is attention training becomes clear. Right now, that idea is also not clear. So
Correct.
yeah, hence the challenges of the practice. But if you can be consistent with the idea that this is what you will train at, attention training, you will become so good with it that you will be able to isolate pain points. And if you learn how to isolate pain points, you can isolate pain points in all walks of life: body, mind, relationships. You will have pain points. Isolating pain points is part of attention training. Coming to pain. Now, physical pain, there are 3 kinds. One is your protective pain, where the body is guarding you. So you have sudden spasm or an acute injury. So if you hurt and there is pain somewhere, your body is trying to protect you from utilizing that body part. This is what we have learned when we were talking about inflammation. If you have hurt yourself somewhere, your body is trying to protect that body part so that you don't overuse it, and that is being expressed through pain or inflammation. So that is what you call protective pain. One should be respectful of that. Then is functional pain. Due to poor movement, posture, or imbalance, you acquire those pains. Like frozen shoulder is a problem that I have acquired. There was no reason. You acquire frozen shoulder because you're not lifting and moving your hand enough. So that is where you need correction. You need slow, steady input so that your range of motion, say you are stuck here. So this needs to be straightened, this needs to be aligned, this needs to go back. So this is functional pain, which this is a problem which is doing of the person who has not utilized the body, who has not moved properly, who has had bad posture or has had imbalance in the body. Somebody will say, I'm totally active. I wake up, I ride my cycle to work, and I work, I come back, I play with my kids. I have a routine which tells me I am functional. But think of that same person who, when he or she goes down to sleep, sleeps on a particular arm every single night, obstructing the blood flow in this region. And that weakens that arm, and he's not realizing it. This is functional pain that you have created by not becoming aware of your own habits, patterns, imbalances that you are inducing. That's the second kind of pain. Most of us acquire pain because of this reason. And then you have sensitized pain, where your nervous system is overreacting. So the inflammation is not going down, or your nervous system is so hyperactive that a little bit of bruise or a injury is causing massive pain. So this is something that is a nervous system thing. So you have to calm down the system and allow the body to respond. Sports related injury where you have overstretched yourself. So underuse is functional pain, so is overuse. So both fall under your functional pain. So you have protective pain, functional pain, and sensitized pain. These are three types of pain that we need to understand. So when we are training for attention, we have to understand what kind of pain we are dealing with. Now, there are three main causes of pain, and we'll categorize them one by one. One is tightness. If you have an overactive area where you have utilized your body too much, that body part will become stiff. Also, if you have imbalance in the body, say your left side is weak, your right side is strong, and you don't consciously work on your left side, then if the imbalance is too much, then the right side becomes overused, and that results into stiffness. So overactivity results into stiffness, which is what we call tightness. You can feel that it is restricted, can be a pulling sensation, and the result is the range of motion that you experience is limited. Yoga is very good at dealing with tightness, especially if you are into sports. When you come to a class, your body feels like it is stiff on a particular day, especially on winter mornings. As you practice, gradually you inhale and exhale, and you do those little movements, sometimes 15, 20, 30 minutes, you feel that body has let go of that resistance. So tightness can be dealt with gentle movement. Both breathing and stretching should be involved in that. And tightness is something that yoga deals very actively, very properly. Then you have your weakness, where the body is not utilized properly. Give me an example of a weak area that we work upon every single day. We have discussed this particular area of the body extensively. Weakness because of underactivity.
Is it lower back?
Yes, core. Our core is something that we don't use. We have spent almost 20 minutes discussing how we should sit straight. If we train our body and mind to sit straight, you will know that your core, lower back muscles, and the front of the stomach, adjoining waist, this whole circumference area needs to be strengthened. Most of us do not sit straight, and hence we have to do separate core exercises. Yoga is very good with core exercises because all postures are revolving around the spine. Because there is a gentle continuous use of your spine in yoga, it builds a very good solid lower back and core strength. The purpose of doing yoga postures was to sit straight in meditation. It was it's so that your body does not move when you sit for long hours. So with that in mind, these postures have been devised and introduced, and we should utilize it for that reason also. If you are practicing yoga deeply and regularly, your core will get better. And if you support that by sitting straight more often than not during the day, you will not have that kind of weakness.
And you had also said that to keep the spine straight, it just doesn't mean that you have to stretch back your shoulders, but you
No,
have to concentrate more on the lower back so that you can sit in a spine.
absolutely. Now, another area which gives us a lot of trouble is our hamstrings. Now, we sit for 8-10 hours a day, and our hamstrings also don't get utilized. That results into weakness. So when you are trying to do splits, or when you are trying to stretch and do a forward bend and your hamstrings complain, it is not just that it is stiff, it is weak as well. Stiffness is induced by weakness. That weakness, because of underactivity, results in pain. You feel unstable, there is fatigue, there is a pain when it is pushed a little. Take into consideration both overactivity and underactivity. Third one is when your movement feels awkward, you have poor control of the body or coordination issues. This is not that common. You can see somebody is walking awkwardly or somebody has less control, especially in teenagers. They cannot stand straight now. So they do not know how to tense their thighs, their calf, their knees, how to lock them. Whenever they stand, they will bend the knee and stand. So simplest of yoga postures, most younger people, like from 10 to 14, 15, this range of kids who come to practice with us, I see have developed poor coordination issues. So this is something that I thought I'll share with you. If you see kids who cannot stand straight or sit straight, it may not be weakness always. It's just that they don't have control over their movement. So this you have to work actually. So attention training, bring your mind to attention training once again. If I were to look at my own body and understand what kind of pain it is, whether it is because of tightness, whether it is because of overuse, and then try to isolate the pain. Say, for example, I have pain in my knees, could be giving me trouble because of my thighs, my quadricep, my hamstring if they are tight, my calf if they are tight, even my ankle pain, ankle mobility can impact my knee. And my glutes also can impact my knee. So it is something that we have to understand by engaging ourselves, that which part of my body is weak, which part of my body is giving me trouble. A knee is supported by so many muscles. Anyone not performing well will give me trouble. So becoming aware of that and then working on it. A- Of course, you take help from someone who can help you isolate. But if you have pain, don't sit with it. Engage and answer yourself that, all right, this is a pain. If it is not going away, I must do something about it. Constantly engage with the body so that there is little bit of improvement. Even if it's a minuscule improvement, it's an improvement. I can only gain from it. And what is there to be disappointed if the rate of recovery is slow? So So that's another area that when the rate of recovery is not as per my expectation, we complain. But it can also happen that when you are acquiring a skill, it can take time. Similarly, when you are recovering, it can also take time. But we cannot leave engaging with a problem that is persisting in the body. So that's how you train your attention. You isolate the problem, you work with it. Any thoughts, any questions? I'll conclude the session by highlighting what I wanted to share today. Yoga does help in building muscles, bone density, stabilizing the joints, mobility. These are practical things that you can see. If you apply yourself, if you are conscious of how you are practicing, then you don't have to give separate time for attention training. Your yoga class becomes the experiment room where you are learning how to train your attention. That's the best place to train your attention. Once you train your attention, you can apply it in multiple fields, especially in understanding your own pain, physical pain. That's all from me today. I hope it was useful, and we'll meet again.